What is up, everybody? Welcome to another video here covering Stormgate. What I did today is I got in touch with Theory. He's a player I've casted a whole bunch. He's one of the best players right now for Infernal. I asked him to send me a replay of a safe, standard Infernal versus Infernal opening. I have not looked at this game. We're going to be learning this together. But if you guys have watched my earlier videos, you'd know I was cheesing a lot Infernal versus Infernal and was having a lot of success with that. I wanted to try to figure out some more standard basic openers myself, but I figure, look, I've already got access to a whole bunch of these great players. Why not just have, you know, one of them give a replay to me and we can unpack it here together. So special thanks to Theory. This is easily one of the best Infernal players in the world, practices a lot with partying. He is the red Infernal up here at the top. And this is not going to be a cast, guys. This is going to be more of us trying to map out exactly when he sends what. So this imp goes a little bit after he starts the second structure. This is a vault. We can see that coming in because of the design beginning to emerge here. So it's vault first, conclave second. And he takes the imp, and you may have seen games where people tower push here. He doesn't seem like he wants to do that. And this is the first person I really saw do this where I paid real attention to was partying. Because I don't know. I think me, like everybody else, I thought this is where you want to creep. Apparently not. By the way, why would you tear the trees down? It's a quicker beeline to get around here to this first spider. And by the time this tower is done, you can then compound that damage and clear this out really fast. Although now we have a skirmish over here. I guess basically this came down to the fact that let's actually just restart this real fast. Because this is interesting. What prompted him to come in over here? So as you can see, again, not your standard. It's not an esports caster, a little bit different. So we see Vault Conclave. Let's see when he sends the imp here as well. He's at 7, 8. So he sends it on 9. What would have been the 9th worker mining is instead sent down here. Very good to know. So when you start to map out builds like this, and the more you know about RTS, the more you probably already agree with what I'm saying, but it's really important to get the fine details down. Things that allow you to shave off a fraction of a second are huge. So, just to give us some idea of what's happening here, even though I'm mostly going to be focused on Theory here, this is a really close vault in range of this. So, let's pause for a second here. We saw partying do this in the finals, and Theory's obviously using the same idea. When you kill this base first, you get 1 extra fiend. Now, I actually thought he was going to run over here and hit this, but I guess he keeps this out here for later. But by having his core units, the Brute and the Gaunt, which are, you really can't afford to lose either of them, he's able to peek up onto the high ground with the Fiend. We know a lot of players like to push into this area, which allows him the initiative to decide how to take this. When you see these fights occur, the Gaunt is the weak point. The Brute cannot catch up to the Gaunt, but the Fiend always can. So, you should always, as far as I understand it, split the Brute into 2 Fiends, because you can kill the Gaunt. If you kill the Gaunt, the other thing you got to watch out for is that your own Gaunt doesn't get infested. Fiends cannot get infested in this current build of the game. And that was really good control. He keeps us alive. The most important thing to have happen is to not lose the Gaunt. It can look misleading, right? The Brute is the big unit. If you played a little bit of Stormgate, you probably already know what I'm talking about, but it's really, really important that you don't let the Fiend chaining get out of control. And whenever you're in these positions, as long as you're creeping with the Gaunt, you're going to be gaining more Fiends, so you're going to be getting more presence on the map. Now, remember, I don't think he wants to necessarily take this camp first, but he uses this pushing over here onto the speed camp to confirm that there is or is not going to be an engagement, because it seems like this part of the map is, at high level play, one of the most important parts of the map. This is where things go down. Now, we have the tower that finished over here. And one thing to note is that when the tower is here, there's no way that he can secretly creep, right? That's important. The second thing to note is that, let's say that he did start to lose control of this fight and started to lose control of his position. He could at least resume creeping here. So there's two ideas that this tower can fulfill. It saves these creeps in the middle of the map. And these are really the only contested creeps, by the way, guys. Everything else is on one side of the map or the other. This keeps these creeps kind of on a hold for him. So he gets the damage done over there. As long as there's one Gaunt in your group, you're fine continuing to creep. And so now we're going to get more kills. By the way, one little thing, if you don't play the game a lot, the Brute can't fit through here or here, which means this whole side of the map is inaccessible. He has to go all the way down here to get down. That's insane, by the way. So this map is not as open as it looks with certain units, and the Brute is, as far as I can tell, the fattest unit you can get at the start of the game. So he's denied some creeping. By the way, nobody's expanded yet. But already Theory has a big advantage here. He comes in, makes sure to get the one infest on the spider. That's an extra fiend. Same story over here. Looks like he's going to macro for a second, then he will come in and get the kill on this. And so he's continuing to sweep the map. Now, some build orders, you got to know exactly when to cut what. But as far as I can tell, he just keeps producing off of these bases and takes an expansion. Let's go back another second. I want to see when exactly he stops workers. So this time we're going to look at just his base. If you've never tried to learn a build before, what I'm doing here might be pretty helpful for you. It's a lot less when you're studying somebody who's better than you. It's a lot less important. Like, people will watch a replay like it's a form of entertainment. And I mean, I do that too. Everybody does that, right? But if you're going to learn a build, you want to really focus on individual moments. So is he making more workers? All right, I'm going to slow this down so I don't lose my own pace here. So he takes one off of the ore and puts it on the meat farm. And stuff like this we want to watch. Does he add more imps here? Or is this one imp just enough to deliver ore back? If a Gaunt is 15 ore and you return 5 ore per turn, I think that's what it is. Are you okay? Now look, he's not making more workers. At least not for now. I'm going to speed this up a little bit. Okay, he does make another worker. Does he get another one? He does get one more. It's a little bit tricky to notice at first. He makes one of these guys on ore mine. So that's smart. He's not pulling stuff off Luminite. That's another thing you can learn here. He pulls from the ore. Probably barely getting by. He made one meat farm. There was an imp that came out at the same time. That's down here. And that is going to be used to expand. So we're going to go back now. Whoops. I slowed this down a little bit too much. So we're back to the same spot we were. So we've restarted this replay 3 times to confirm the 3 most important things that have happened here. The pattern for planting the tower and his general creep pattern, the interaction that happened over here. And then we dial it all the way back to check the worker count. Because this is the moment where we go, okay, sometimes, especially if you're new, this is what you end up looking at the whole time. If you don't have your house in order back at home, things are not going to look the same out here on the map. Some people can figure this out on their own, excuse me. I'm a little sick today, so I might sound a little out of it. Some people are on their own and can map this out by themselves, but nowadays with replays, you can just have a better player teach it to you through the replay. By the way, you got to be careful. Sometimes we see players literally skip the vision camp or the speed camp because they're trying to move so quickly. Stormgate is a game where you start to move real fast. So right now, Theory has more of an income due to the creeps. The expansion's a little bit later. Actually, I think it's about the same. Yeah, this looks almost identical. I stand corrected. But look at how this advantage has pressed the defender. He's already making 2 towers to defend. Now, keep in mind, it's like StarCraft with the imps. A worker turns into a building. We know that if you make a worker into a building, you've lost a worker in a sense. So in a perfect world, the Zerg, or the imps in this case, or the Infernals, they would make their imps or any unnecessary structures as late as possible. So he is dropping things that could become resources later by putting this down, but you can see he's feeling the pressure. So a lot of these games where you're out on the map and you're doing this, it might feel like they're not suffering for it back at home, but they are. So I believe he goes into tier 2 here. I think it's called a Greater Shrine. And another thing that's been emergent in this game is just Doombringer drops. Going for tier 2 drops really fast is apparently the way to play. Everybody ended up going for drops one way or the other. The better players are going for drops earlier. Again, the tower back over here. I can't stop thinking about this. The most straight path from here to here is through the towers. So now, even though we had this tower that killed off the creeps earlier, it's looking smarter and smarter because you've got one player who's on the map, who's creeping up everything. And look, if you played Stormgate, how many games do you lose where you're creeping on the map and then they just run into your base and they kill all your workers? All your workers are now fiends, or they're fiends, and it doesn't really matter what you did. This tower protects against that. Especially with this vision camp here and this vision camp here. There's literally no way to get over there. Now that I'm looking at this is exciting. Yeah, there's no way to get across there. So Theory has total control of the map and can do what he wants. So we're seeing his opponent creep out onto the map here. 3 towers down now. Both sides have 4 workers on gas. That should tell you something. When you see stuff like this, 2 high-level players, gas is already here. By the way, this is now tier 2. The animation is done. It's got more spikes on the top. He also gets a second conclave. That's another thing important to note. We don't see anybody in Infernal vs. Infernal getting a second vault early. The gaunts are too important, and having the ability to make 2 gaunts at a time only makes sense. The creeping's going to continue here for Theory. And I believe the next step is we're going to see a Doombringer come out pretty fast. Yeah, there it is. So, from what I understand, it's really about putting as many gaunts in the Doombringer and whatever else you can bring. I think 1 Brute especially is fine. You kind of organically end up with a Brute anyways. And you want to be the initiator in this matchup. You want to be trying to hit his workers. The Brutes are very slow. The Doombringer is very fast. So a lot of times you can set up a favorable position. And the Fellhogs in this current build, they can be infested. So, like this spot right here, this is a juicy location. These things that are supposed to be defending early on from rushes can end up snowballing damage later on. Looks like he... Okay, he does get that last gaunt. A lot of times it seems like you can get about all 7 of the 8 slots filled up here for the Doombringer. Now, why would he keep the Fiends on the map, in case you're wondering? Well, the Fiends are the fastest thing that you've got for Infernal. And... it just sped the game up. Sorry. Drops are already a headache. But... Fiends with drops, Fiends hitting locations where the drop isn't, that's how a good player beats a player that's worse than him. Now just taking a quick look over here. I believe they both have tier 2. Yeah, they both have the funny top on the shrine. And look at how he set this up. So we saw a perfect opening from Theory. There are 2 bases that can be taken. Now in this spot, the trees are not opened up. but he's ready. He has the other two fiends come down here to check for this location. So not only does Theory have all 3 vision spots, he's going to have this forever until his opponent moves out on the map. He now is ready to both deny a third base here or here, and he can expand freely here. Whoa, okay, I actually missed this. So this looks like it's a bug. It looks like they're hanging from bungee cords. We can assume they're actually full and inside here. So anyways, we have the drop starting here. I'm going to slow this down to 0.5. And again, imps are not strong units. So you start to get the damage in here. You can pick up, you can get back out. Now, they're both getting the drop off at the same time. By the way, I did miss this. Or I don't think I mentioned it at least. 1 tower on each side already here. In fact, there's going to be a second one that's going to finish up over here. So the meta is at a point where you just know you need towers to preempt this. That's when you know an RTS is being figured out, is they both say, well, what I can do to him, he can do to me. By the way, this base, it always seems like you want the tower in the middle. Might make the worker's mine a fraction of a second slower, but you're probably covering more area. So notice, you never attack with the imps. Maybe if you had Flame Imp, but right now, no way. Now, the problem is, these fell hogs, by the way, guys, you can't control them. Oh, Theory says workers in the middle are kind of inefficient, so stacking. Yeah, that actually is a good point. So attacking the tower doesn't affect it much. Yeah, that's a good point. That really answers that. Okay. So, they both get denied. I'm sorry, where is this thing? Okay, this is over here. I'll put this back up to the normal speed. The base placement's really important here. I thought about doing a whole YouTube video just on placement. Keeping this area constricted, it makes it harder for him to run through this area. If you follow my mouse cursor, harder to just slip through there. He has to go around the long way. That means he can leave stuff over here to kind of catch this. And you see how the buildings here are placed? Once you run through here, there's a wall that covers this with a tower here. All this is premeditated, by the way. That's another great thing you could do when you're watching a good player, is try to study why they put buildings where they are. Like even here, you know, this is a really kind of nice protected area that's going to keep the imp safe, with the tower in the back kind of covering everything like so. So what he does, this is something you see. I don't know why I'm bringing this comparison up, but it is true. You see this in TVT, especially in StarCraft 1, where you drop their drop. The only thing that's as fast as this Doombringer is your Doombringer. So if you think you can take the fight, it might be better to just try to follow their Doombringer around. I don't know if Theory knows about this, but this would be a great catch to get, actually. They do need some brutes. And, you know, anytime that they take the risk of putting buildings in the middle of the map, just making them remake it is good. Apop, thank you so much for the raid, buddy. Welcome. And so he goes right back to what he needs to be doing. He's roaming. Now, I'm sorry, where did his... the Doombringer's back here. So what he did is he chased it away and then went in here for another move. Now, if you can pull your imps fast enough, by the way, it seems like you can just barely get away without losing one. Remember, Gaunts are really brittle units. And look, this is the meta right now. This isn't the final version of the game, but this is what you're going to get, is Gaunt harass back and forth. Trying to come in here and chain react, infest your units. This is a bug that can happen where they fall down there. Oh, you can pick them back up from there. That's funny. If they fall in that pit, usually I think they're down there forever. That's their home now. So we've got the first third base. Now, taking a third base, just like taking a second base, there's a right and a wrong time to do it. So I'm always curious, like, okay, who expands first, who expands second? It looks like they're taking it about the same time. And already, Theory's back to creeping. This is something that I've personally struggled with. Is like, I'll be creeping on the map, and then I'll find that I've just stopped after I've done my first round. Like, I'm not paying attention. But being able to stay active like this is essential, because he's got map control. He knows that the dropping is done for now. And he could just get more resources and all sorts of other assets like vision over here by doing this. So he's taking the third base. Again, the tower is here in the middle. And he just goes... Now, this is something else you want to watch for. Fiends are... I mean, they're like Zerglings, right? They're kind of expendable. Sometimes in fights, it's more important to kill their army than to kill the building. Other times, it's more important to kill the building and get out. And ideally not lose your whole army. This is a moment, it's probably better to kill the building. That's exactly what he's going to try to go for. So he gets the kill. And, you know, honestly, there's not that many fiends here, so I think the blue player does have to run away. So you get in, you get out. Now, see, now he finds this. He says, that's a freebie. I'll take that, too. There is going to be a drop coming back in over here. And so this is really good by his opponent. These are Magmadon drops. This prompts him to bring down... I don't know what this thing is called. It's like a super Shroud Stone. You cast it down. The damage is crazy. And this is another sign of a good player. He treats that as a bait. Okay, you spent the Animus on that. I'm out of here. Which could give an Animus edge over his opponent later on. So this is one of those things. Remember, in an RTS game, you don't have to commit. The game does not have to be deterministic. In fact, being able to not be deterministic in an RTS game is really the sign that you're a good player. In the tournaments I played when I was younger, like the games I lost that I was like most bothered by were like I was just too deterministic. So now he's down here, he's doing damage. And look, this is not the safest position in the world here, but he is going to get in there and get the kills. He does avoid the Magmadon. You see this happening again here. Dropping on drops can be good in this matchup, man. Magmadons are never going to reach these Fiends or Gaunts, but if you can just plop them down there, you can get a lot of damage done. Oh, dude, I thought that was his Magmadon. I was like, what is going on? Why is he attacking his own Magmadon? Sorry. So, in this position, just to go big picture here, this is pretty much winning for Theory. His base is done. The third base is not done. This is exactly where you want to be. So, in a mirror matchup, the easiest way to understand it is that you're either, if you're ahead in a base, you're winning, or you're ahead in some tech that is so incredibly strong that it's better than having a base. And right now, they're even in tech, and he's up a base. So all he's got to do is hold this. Now, the position... I'm slowing this down here. The positional setup is pretty good. But this tower is really well placed. It's hard for the Magmadons to get in here. The reinforcements can come in pretty smoothly through the trees. You can even see he's targeting the Doombringer here. That's another thing, guys. When you're watching fights and replays, watch them slow. Notice what they target, what they don't target. And so, look, I mean, this... Oh, that's not even an imp. I thought it's just a Shroud Stone. So, I mean, this is bad, man. By the way, it's... yeah, I think in every possible metric, he's basically ahead. He's going to try to come in here for another attack again. And, you know, honestly, this is a lot here. Theory could actually be in trouble. It's kind of funny when you have Magmadons stomping on each other, how the damage trades out. There are so many Magmadons that have, like, almost no HP. This is insane. But look at the placement. Again, look at this. See how the Gaunts are back here like this? It's hard to get back here. This is going to win you the game. He's threading these Gaunts through these narrow positions. He's going to rely on the fact that there are rally points coming out of here. He can reinforce this. The travel distance is massive from all the way back here. And look, I mean, I could replace this game with so many high-level games from so many other RTSs. It's the guy who's one base ahead. He denied his opponent's base. Now he just has to hold this because this guy's not expanding. This is kind of all in. The Gaunts are doing a good job staying in the back. And he's actually, it's really interesting. He's picking the Magmadon up, moving it away when it's inconvenient, and then looking for an opportunity to bring it back in. He uses another, the power Shroud Stone to come down here. By the way, this seems to be the, like, get out of my base move. Like, you just have to respect it. And so he holds. He holds. He's in good shape. Infrastructure-wise, it is 2 vaults and 2 concaves. It seems like the second vault comes into play when you got to get the Magmadons. And look at this. He immediately goes back on the map. It says, okay, you're done attacking. It's my turn. He didn't send this drop out during this fight. He would have lost the game. And he doesn't just stay back in his base and be scared. You got to be active. So this Shroud Stone is killed 11 minutes later into the game. Blue is doing a good job, by the way. Blue is actually moving out. This is a great play here. Just what can you get? What kind of kills can you find? And so the Doombringer is going to get away again. I don't mean to speed this up too fast, guys. And so, you know, and I know that, like, we've joked about this and stuff, but, like, you know, from way back in the early StarCraft 2 days, you know, Artos has had some very sage words, man. What do you do when you're ahead? Because a lot of people get confused by this. I'm ahead, but, like, what do I do now? Do I need to go kill him right now? You know, I'm not really sure. I've gotten to this place where I'm in the lead, and now I don't really know what's going on. You just get more ahead. Take another base. This game is his problem. He has to figure out how to end it. Don't overextend. Don't take, like, 3 bases or anything like that. And so we have another push in here. And I don't think this game goes on for much longer. Again, I don't watch these games ahead of time. I think it's more fun to learn them as we do it. But I mean, this is going to be a tough hold. He's got the Gaunts really well positioned here, being able to stay back. He's bought himself enough time. Look at this turret layout. He's kind of chained the turrets together. Here comes an Infest. I believe this is from the blue player. And it's not going to be dodged, so that's a little scary. I guess you can see the black orbs over them. They are infested from that. I don't know if that was always over that or if I just noticed that now. Now here's where Theory may be making a mistake. You don't want to get too far off of this. You are holding these fights because you have these towers down here. That's easier said than done. And I think he might be able to overpower him. You can see these Gaunts on the side here. There was an interaction where these Gaunts were starting to hit these Gaunts. And that's where you can really see the side close in. Like that, yeah. So there you go. So just to recap it real quick here, I'm just going to show you the start of this game up to the expand, because now we've got the full picture here. And you guys probably noticed I spent more time kind of delving into the first few minutes. That's by design. So the build is make one worker, make a an iron vault, and then make the conclave down here in a position to shorten the entryway onto this large ramp. You can check the timing on the imp from earlier in the game, but tear down 4 trees, and not less, because the brutes won't fit through, by the way. The brutes are big enough they can get stuck out there. And then just set this up over here. And then the subtle thing, and I think this might be the most important part that you have to remember of this build, check the high ground with the imp, because this is a common creeping path they take, and you can just kill them outright with this. So he catches the gaunt, but he's also checking, okay, is there like a gaunt and a brute like over here killing this? And then from there, you consistently keep 1 to 2 imps on gas, get a meat farm, keep making gaunts and brutes, and expand and get to tier 2. And that's the build. Get into drop and you're good to go. And just make sure you use the combination of the tower here, the fiend poke here to figure out what's going on, the opportunity to ambush the gaunt that's over here with your gaunt and your brute, to control the creeps. Because a good early game gets you a healthy mid game, which is going to allow you to close it out. Also, brutes, when you see their gaunt alone early on, you need to split the brute into fiends and kill them, unless you already have fiends that can do that. Yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'm sorry if my energy is a little bit low. I'm very sick today, but yeah, hopefully I'll be better soon. Please like and subscribe. Let me know what you think about this kind of content. If you want to see more of it in the future, go to tastelessthreads.com. That's my merch shop. We got a bunch of cool stuff I think you'd enjoy there. And have a good day. Bye-bye.